Welcome to another episode of Follow the Brand TV. I am your host, Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM, a 5-star personal brand and business development company. I want to take you on a journey through another deep dive into the world of personal branding and business development using compelling personal stories, business conversations, and tips to improve your brand. By listening to the Follow the Brand TV series, you will differentiate yourself from the competition and build trust with prospective clients and employers. You never get a second chance to make a first impression. Make it one that will set you apart, build confidence, and reflect who you are. Building your 5-star personal brand is a great way to improve your skills and knowledge. If you have any questions for me or any of my guests, please email me at grant.mcgaugh@5starbdm.com. Now, let's begin with our next episode on the Follow the Brand TV.
Five-Star BDM, Brand Development Masters, is a professional consulting and advisory group keenly focused on business development services for the small to mid-sized business and entrepreneurs. Although every business is unique, they often share business development challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. Services include process improvement and operations, digital strategy and transformation, business intelligence, digital marketing, and personal branding. Our business and personal branding company has helped a number of professionals and organizations to optimize and grow. This results in more business, more opportunities, better reach, positive outcomes. Visit www.5starbdm.com today to learn more.
When Michael Erath's company hit $45 million in revenue, he thought he had made it. But the Great Recession and an embezzlement scandal changed everything, wiping out his success overnight. Instead of giving up, Erath rebuilt, launching a $7 million business and founding Next Level Growth, a firm dedicated to helping entrepreneurs build elite organizations without burning out. Erath's journey led to the 5 obsessions of elite organizations. First, hire and develop leaders who can scale with you. Second, define an inspiring purpose. A just cause so everyone knows why their work matters. Third, document repeatable playbooks so success is never left to chance. Fourth, create a culture of performance by setting clear expectations and coaching people up or out. Finally, treat profit as fuel for people and purpose. Next Level Growth's clients report a 47% increase in leadership effectiveness. 19 companies have reached their strategic summits, and a net promoter score of 81 places the firm among top service providers. Clarify your vision, invest in the right people, systemize what works, make profit purposeful, and be open about failures to foster deeper growth. Ready to move from good to elite? Start with Grant McGaugh's Follow the Brand podcast interview with Michael Erath.
Welcome, everybody, to the Follow the Brand podcast. This is your host, Grant McGaugh. We're going to go all the way out to a very, very hot location. I mean, hot meaning it's actually very hot. I think it was 114 degrees is what I've been told out in Phoenix, Arizona, where I run into Mr. Michael Erath. He's a next level guy. And I'm not talking about because, everybody's at 70 degrees, 80 degrees, and he's at 110, but he's hot like that, right? This guy is like super hot. He's next level in what he does. So, Michael, you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Grant. Michael Erath. I am the founder and CEO of Next Level Growth. We're a firm of former business owners, CEOs and presidents turned business guides. We've got 10 of us across the country, and we're helping entrepreneurial leaders do everything they need to build elite organizations.
Well, hey, I'm inspired by that already in what you're doing. And I love the name, Next Level Growth, because you always get an image and a picture, and that's what I do. I work through imagery. And so when I see Next Level Growth and what you're doing, I want to understand, though, from your perspective, How do you define your vision for helping companies achieve the best version of their business?
So that's a really good question. As you unpack that, I think, we talk about elite organizations, and in the book, so Five Obsessions of Elite Organizations, the book I released in March, that really gets deep into what we do, and it really provides a how-to. So instead of just giving concepts, we actually give you, here's some things you can do to implement this in your business. But I talk about the definition of an elite organization is different for every organization, right? Some people want to scale to a certain point. Some people want to achieve an exit and have financial freedom. Some people just want their life back, right? They don't want their business to be a prison anymore. So that definition of elite is very unique to the individual founders, owners of organizations. But what we've really found is over the last probably 2 decades, business operating systems have become quite commonplace in the entrepreneurial community. And while that's been very positive, by their nature, these business operating systems are often highly prescriptive and really kind of take a one-size-fits-all approach. And what we've discovered is that when you really kind of have a prescriptive system to offer, it puts primacy on the system, not the user, and it forces people, regardless of their circumstances, cultures, or desires, it forces them into kind of a predefined mold. And that doesn't always fit right, especially when you're growing. If you think about, an adolescent that's growing, one size fits all doesn't fit for very long, right? It does when you stop growing. And so what we've really focused on is trying to flip that on its head and focus on what we've discovered is 5 key principles that underlie every elite organization. This holds true in business, it holds true in nonprofits, it holds true in sports. And regardless of the source of the tools and concepts, we work with entrepreneurs and their executive teams to really lean into and obsess about these 5 things and go through a constant improvement process to build out underlying systems and structures to truly become a category of one in their space by excelling in these 5 areas. And so as a result, they end up with a business operating system that underlies this, but that's all custom tailored to them because it's based on a pursuit of these 5 principles, irrespective or irregardless of what the actual tools are and where they come from.
Man, before we jumped on, you talked about something that piqued my interest in the same thing that you're talking about. Some things that Simon Sinek, came out with that we are looking for just cause. I think you mentioned just cause, and we're looking for, we established what is the ideal that we're trying to aspire to. We're not this ideal today. We talk about some of the principles of different countries, and they come out like this is our declaration and our independence, and this is what we believe in. But we all know that at the time, you're not there, but you aspire to do that. If you're a sporting team, right? We just had, I remember not today because I'm from Florida, right? So the Florida Panthers just went back to back in the hockey world. I'm pretty excited about it. But I was around, of them for years, and they never won a championship, right? They aspired every year. You aspire to be a champion, and you do the work and you go through the motions, but you don't realize, what? It may take 2 decades to truly, as an organization, reach that particular desired state. This is important to understand. And you focus, you said the core focus. What is the core focus? How does the entrepreneurial operating system, as you said, the EOS model, and this is what I want to understand, how does it uniquely support fast growth companies in maintaining their clarity and their traction and their alignment as they try to ascend to this goal?
So one thing, just to be clear, so I spent about 5 years working within the EOS community as one of their coaches. I left in 2020 and started Next Level Growth, and that's when I kind of made this pivot from having a prescriptive system to more of a principled approach with more flexibility. And so one of the things, so to your point, when I was with EOS, but even beyond that, as I was starting Next Level Growth, we worked with companies to really understand their purpose, or as Simon Sinek wrote about in his earlier book, Start with Why, and what's the why behind the organization. And a few years ago, I read another book, a newer book by Simon Sinek called The Infinite Game. And he talks about things that are important if you're going to build a business or an organization intended to outlast you. And part of his evolution of thought, which I found really intriguing, and we've evolved and modified how we teach strategy in some regards as a result of this. In this new book, he talks about this concept of a just cause. And so the way he explains it is that your purpose or your why is your origin story. It's why you built the business. It's why you started it in the first place. The just cause, I think, gives greater clarity and alignment, and it draws people in. The just cause, as he defines it, is a vision of a future state that does not currently exist, but one about which you are so passionate you'll devote your entire career to its advancement. And so how that resonated with us, we had landed on our purpose, our why, around helping entrepreneurial leaders build elite organizations. And there's a lot of flexibility in what the definition of elite is, as I mentioned earlier. However, as we started to think about just cause, it really forced me to think and go deep into, well, why is that purpose important to me? Why does that really matter? And it really goes back to my entrepreneurial journey myself. Very quickly, I was second generation in a family manufacturing business. I brought on a partner to help us vertically integrate, became really close friends with that partner, became his son's godfather, found out in 2008 he had embezzled $500,000 and was committing bank fraud. I had taken the business to from 8 to 45 million in revenue. We had about 200 employees, and we ended up, my wife and I lost everything in 2009 as a result of his crimes. He spent 2 years in federal prison, and we had to restart and kind of bootstrap things. We built a second business in the same industry, grew that to about 7 million before I exited, and started deciding to take kind of the second half of my life to give back from everything I learned in the first half. But what that led to was this idea of a just cause. And I'd been a member of YPO, I still am, and was a member of EO, Entrepreneurs Organization, and I spent a little bit of time in Vistage. And in all these different peer groups, something, as I reflected on it, became really clear to me. And it's that most entrepreneurs, whether they're currently going through it, they've been through it, or they will go through it, to some degree achieve a return on investment from their business at the expense of their friendships, their time with family, their physical health, even their emotional health. And when you think about the risk that entrepreneurs take, I mean, they put their homes on the line, their entire financial well-being is on the line with the risk they take and the leverage they have to take on at times. It doesn't seem fair that you would have to trade off those things to the degree that most of us do. And so that's where I started to really get clear on this just cause. And the way we kind of say it is that we believe that entrepreneurial leaders deserve to earn more than a return on investment. They deserve to earn a meaningful return on life. And that drives our daily purpose. So that's kind of how we frame it. So just cause is that belief statement, something that we believe in. The time will, I don't think, ever come where we don't have to make those trade-offs as entrepreneurs, right? But that's something that we want to advance. And we do that. That's actually the belief that drives our daily purpose of helping build elite organizations. So it also helped frame, when I built out this firm, why I wanted to only have partners and guides as part of the firm who are former owners, CEOs, or presidents of businesses that reached 10 million or more in revenue and had 50 or more employees. Because I think if you had full P&L responsibility in an organization that at least reached to that size, you have likely experienced all of the emotions, all of the challenges, all of the struggles that a 50 million, $100 million company will as well. And so it gives you a level of empathy. It gives you a level of understanding that I think if you haven't had that experience, it's very difficult then to coach and mentor somebody if they're going through something that you haven't experienced or been through.
I tell you, you've answered the next question I was even thinking about asking them, meaning what makes you different? What's your differentiation? And you've alluded to that. And I really, really appreciate that. I understand exactly what you're talking about. Even in my own practice, when you think about the origin story, and then you think about I call it the North Star. What is
Yeah.
your current, what are you trying to accomplish? And then you start to think about, that gap in between. Is it going to be worth the time and effort and struggle to achieve that North Star?
Mhm.
And do you truly understand the endeavor that you're asking yourself to accomplish? And to your point, the relationships that you have, who's on board with you on
Right.
this? Is your family on board with you, or are your relationships, your friends, everything else? And then when you talk about rolling the dice, I mean, if you're going to put your financial well-being on this, you know what? I'm taking these chips and I'm putting it on the table, and I'm going to run and run and run until I've crossed this finish line. That takes a lot of moxie. I call it being brave. You got to be brave in order to do something like that. And to your point in your origin story, which
Mm.
I felt, here you are, you got your partner in crime, so to speak, right? Right?
Literally.
You're going to bat, and
Right.
and you're ramping really good. I mean, you get to the
Right.
40, $50 million mark in revenue, you're doing good. And then to find out this guy is doing something illegal that puts you both now in jeopardy, kudos to you to like, hey, you stop, dust yourself off. You and your wife, like, let's try this again. And you still are able to get to seven figures in business. Michael, hats off to
I
you.
appreciate
That's not easy to do by any stretch of the imagination. You're able to do that. So you've got some values. And here's my question.
it.
You've got some company values like excellence, impact, and I'm going to put resilience out there, some authenticity, some skin in the game, some servant leadership that are central. And I want you to share a story. You shared some of that already, but if you can share a story of where one of these values made a tangible difference for a client of yours, can you elaborate on that?
Sure. So, this goes back to that idea of the just cause and talking about what you believe in. I think when when I'm talking to a prospect or another entrepreneur, I have learned to be really open and vulnerable about my story and what I went through. Um, and it was interesting, right? I mentioned before we started recording, I was listening to your podcast with Dr. Davita Price, and she was talking about sharing some of her own trauma openly and vulnerably, and how that one, it allows her to speak from a place of empathy and work with people from a place of empathy, but it also, I think, it helps people see you as real,
Mhm.
and it helps you connect with people. What I tend to find is when I share that story, it's remarkable the number of business leaders that will share similar stories, the things they've been through that they never talk about. Because I think as entrepreneurs, we feel like it's a failure if we do. And so what I have found is when I can connect with somebody, or one of our partners can connect with somebody on that level, it it forms a sense of a bond, because it's like, okay, we have a really difficult shared experience now. Yours was different than mine, but they were highly similar, and that becomes a almost like a magnet between us that draws us together. Because now it's kind of like, okay, we're troops in the foxhole together, right? It's like it creates um, it creates something relational very quickly, because we're talking about and focusing on a belief. It's not about how what I do is better than what you do or whatever else. It's about like let's get aligned on that belief first, and then it allows us to lean into, if I think the second part of that, then, so when we go from just cause and we believe the same thing, so it makes sense to see if we can do something together. Then the next is our purpose around building elite organizations. And this is almost kind of like a filter I use when I'm talking to a prospect, because if somebody wants a better return on life, but they aren't willing to do the work that it takes to build something elite, I don't want to waste their money, and I don't want them wasting my time. Right. And so all of this helps kind of frame a filter to determine that if I'm working with the right people and they're willing to trust me as their guide, we can do some really great stuff together. But those things have to be aligned. They can't be broken. There's a great I've had several clients really lean into this. There's a great short Nick Saban video. You're from Oklahoma, so you may not like Nick Saban too much, but
I'm from Nebraska.
you're from
Oklahoma was our
Nebraska.
enemy, but I hear what you're
Oh
saying.
my gosh. Okay. I thought you were, okay. You're in Oklahoma now, right?
Omaha, Nebraska. I know they
Oh,
always get that
Omaha.
confused.
I
Omaha
thought
and
I heard you say
Oklahoma. I mix the
Oklahoma.
O and
Okay.
the A,
Well,
but I get what you're saying.
I'm an
Don't
ACC guy, so don't hold that against me. But Saban talks about this thing. He calls it 5 choices, and he says we all have 5 choices in life as to how we want to do things.
Yeah.
So we can. Have you seen this? I don't know if you've seen
No,
this.
I haven't. I want to hear it.
Yeah, he says we can choose to be bad at what we do, which unfortunately some people do. We can choose to be average. We can choose to be good. And he said choosing to be good is probably about all God expects with whatever abilities he gave you. But he said you can also choose to be excellent or elite.
Mm-hmm.
If you choose to be excellent or elite, you have to have a special discipline, a special drive, a special focus and passion to do things to a high standard and a high level all of the time. And if you don't have that, you probably never get past good.
Mm-hmm.
And so I always share that early when I'm talking with somebody because I want to see how they react to that. And if all you want is to be good, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
That's absolutely fine. It's your decision. But if you choose to be, or you want to be excellent or elite, like I want to know that you're really willing to do that level of work. And it kind of ties into our core values that are at Next Level Growth. Our core values are take ownership, be resourceful, have a thirst for learning, and be fun to work with. Right. And one of the interesting thing is, and I think as you talk about values, when you get into your organization's values, if they're truly authentic, I think you can look at your personal life and think about who you enjoy being around and who you don't, and how they do or don't align with those same values. And when I look at my friends, when I look at people I don't enjoy being around, the people that are closest to me as human beings, they take ownership of things. They're just wired that way, right? They're resourceful people. Through very different mediums, they're always trying to learn. They're focused on growth, and they're fun. They smile, they laugh. They can joke around, and I think understanding those values and being able to use those for clients you work with, for people you associate with personally, all of those things are very important in how you operationalize relationships in your life.
I agree with you. I call that authenticity. When people are authentic, and you alluded to earlier, when you're vulnerable, when you can share things that are, they're difficult. They were emotional, things that happened in your past. Maybe it could be trauma, but when you can very openly share it with someone else, not just because to share your story, feel sorry for me type of thing. No, it's a teaching tool to show that I understand, that I've been through these things, and that I've moved on. You can too, right? Depending on where you're at in your journey. And I'm sure you talk to people at all phases of the entrepreneurial journey, whether you're a startup or now you've got your first 6 figures, now you're into 7 figures, you're looking to get to 8. So now you're scaling, and you're starting to see, hey, your North Star is in view. You can start to see these things. I want to understand, I think our audience would want to understand, what are some of those common growth traps? Those common growth traps that you see in companies after they hit certain milestones, whether it's 5 million, maybe it's 50 million in revenue. But how do you help those leaders break through those particular ceilings?
So I'm going to frame this, if you don't mind, through the lens of these 5 obsessions that we've really kind of discovered are underlying principles around organizations that become great. So the first obsession is great people. And this was really made popular in Jim Collins' book, Good to Great, back in 2001, when that released. And he talks about this analogy of having the right people in the right seats on your bus. But very few people who agree with that concept have an underlying system that allows them to actually improve that within their businesses, right? And so there's a healthcare CEO named Paul Batalden, who I've got a quote from in the book. He said that every system is perfectly designed to get the results it gets. So if you want a different result, you need a different system. Right? So look at the systems that are underlying it. So when we talk about great people, these are people that fit the culture. They share the values, the behavioral core values of the business. and they have the skill sets, the experience, and the desire to consistently perform their roles to a high standard. And we can measure, we can measure things around that. I think one of the traps to what you were asking is I've seen organizations scale and the leadership team around the founder is comprised of the people who help them get from $1 million to $5 million or $1 million to 10 million. But now their goal is to get to 100 million.
Mm-hmm.
And those early stage leaders were exactly who they needed for that first stage of growth. They were the ones who were, they're COO of a restaurant company I worked with. This is the guy that, like, opening up a new restaurant is fixing plumbing because a sink's leaking. He's a COO, but like in that startup phase, you got to do that. You got to grind, you got to hustle and do those things. But at a certain level of scale, to get from 10 to 50 or 10 to 100, those leaders are not equipped for that next stage. But the founder, and this is perfectly natural, it's very much human nature, that founder feels an obligation and a deep sense of loyalty. So we don't then go replace them and hire the people that we need to get to the 50 or 100. Mm-hmm. And so that ends up becoming a choke point, or holding us back. And I think, as an entrepreneur in a privately held business, when the time comes that somebody who was a great fit for a certain stage is no longer the right fit going forward, we have the ability to make that transition as pleasant for them as possible, right? We control the severance. We control we can let them control the narrative. We can help them find the next organization if we choose to do that. And we can do it in a way that's really kind, both to the organization and its growth goals and also to the individual. I think it goes back to clear as kind, right? If we have clear expectations and someone can no longer meet those expectations, then it's time to have a different conversation. One of the things I've learned as I've started now, I'm in my 11th year as a business coach, is that underlying most of our frustrations with people is unclear expectations. I think at the end of the day, we're not really good at establishing clear expectations between individuals that report to us and ourselves. And that's what leads to a lot of frustration. So there's a lot of stuff in great people, but then the second obsession is what we call an inspiring purpose. And I tend to find that most organizations invest all of their marketing energy in external marketing and not internally marketing their vision, their purpose, their just cause, all of those things to employees and team members. And I think that's a big miss, because I could come to work for an organization and fit the values and have the skills and the experience. But if the leaders of that organization can help me emotionally attach to an inspiring purpose, I will always bring more creativity, passion, and energy to my work, because I see it as part of something bigger. And that literally works down to a frontline employee. It's just something you have to be intentional about. So great people, inspiring purpose. The third obsession is optimized playbooks. This is another area I see organizations often create bottlenecks that they don't need to. And the idea with optimized playbooks, these are not detailed SOPs and work instructions. These are, think about a football team. There's lots of detail in how you run the plays, but the playbook is just making sure that if this is the situation on the field, this is the strategy for the play, this is where everybody's going to move, so we know, and that where everybody's going to be, what my role and responsibility is in this situation. And if all 11 players on your side of the ball execute that play properly, and you consistently execute your plays properly throughout the game, you're likely to come out on top. It's usually the broken plays that's where the other team gains an advantage. Same thing in our businesses, right? Whenever, whatever your business is, there are things that throughout that workflow are consistent every time. And we need to systemize those things and create playbooks for people. These playbooks take pressure off of people when they're onboarding into their roles or when they're performing. And the challenge or the trap is that most entrepreneurs feel like, I'm too busy to document those things. I'm too busy to do all of it. Well, the irony is that the reason you're so busy is because you don't have those things, right? If everybody knew what plays to run, you would put out so many fires. And then just kind of quickly, the fourth and fifth. The fourth is a culture of performance. There's another choke point here, I think, and this is not intended to be a punitive culture of performance kind of thing. But I think we've got to have a culture where people have clear expectations of what we need from them in their role. We have to have clear data so that they know when they're winning, right? Imagine watching a sporting event with no scoreboard, right? It would not be fun to watch. It would feel like you're watching a team practice. The players aren't going to play as hard. But if we know how much time's left, we know the score, we know some of the key stats, as humans, we tend to elevate our performance because we want to win. There's an innate desire in us to win. So we've got to create a culture where we have that data, it's available, people know the score, they know the expectations, but then we also have to build a system that's designed to coach and develop people who are underperforming, so long as those people are coachable. But there also need to be guardrails on that system so that if someone is not coachable, or they're coachable, but they just don't have the aptitude for what we need of them in that role, the system will either coach them into a different role or it will coach them out of the organization. So we're constantly coaching people up or out who are not meeting expectations. And we're doing it in a way to try to develop them. I find when companies do this well, 4 out of 5 people, you're able to coach up. It's not as common that people can't make it. And the other thing is because it's very clear and it's very intentional and you're putting the effort into the people, but you're also making it clear that you can't escape accountability here. People who aren't able to make it will often on their own terms self-select and exit, which is great because now they're not your HR problem. So, that's the importance behind a culture of performance. And then lastly is this obsession around growing profits and cash flow. And when I come to this one, often I hear people say, well, profits and cash are a byproduct of doing everything else right. And I just think that's intellectually lazy, because if you don't treat profit and cash as something that's important, because that's the fuel that goes back in the engine, if you treat it as a byproduct, it's going to be a byproduct. But if I want to invest in great people in my organization, I need to be profitable with great cash flow so I can be top of market pay. I can provide them the benefits that will attract the best of the best. And so all of those things have to be operating in harmony to really build something elite. So I apologize, that was a long answer, but sometimes.
No. It's important to
long
get those
answers.
principles out, because it's the core principle about what you do and why you do it.
Mm-hmm.
You brought up some very good things, and I'm almost certain you probably will come across this as you scaled. And owners have to, and I've seen this because I work in the investment banking space also, is that you come to a point you might need to exit. You're like, you know what, this was fun up to this point, but maybe I'm the bottleneck and I need to sell to someone else. And you see that a lot. There's a merger, there's an acquisition. Maybe that's how, hey, everybody, I'm glad we got here. We won the game. Everybody gets paid out. Here's your golden parachute if that's where you want to look at it. And then the company goes to another phase of its evolution. And then you can either be, part of the board, or you come into some equity packages and things like that. But you don't have to do the day-to-day grind
Right.
were before. So I love the way that you frame your business performance and you frame your business coaching, and what's very, very important, understanding the values and the execution phases that you're getting to. I want to ask you this, and because you do a lot of frameworks and you have a lot of formulas that you use. What are your success metrics or your outcomes that you're most proud of, and how do they reflect on your brand promise at Next Level Growth?
So I appreciate that. So in scaling up, Vern Harnish in the strategy section, he pulls a lot of strategy from Michael Porter. One of the concepts that's part of that system that I love is called a one-phrase strategy. And the idea is if you can really distill your strategy down to its core essence and frame it in a short phrase that people can remember and use to as a filter for decisions on a daily basis, what would that be? And for us, what we really landed on is we call it experience matters.
Yeah.
So it's in a number of different ways. It's the results experience our clients have. It's the experience they have in our work together. It's our experience as seasoned owners, CEOs, and presidents. So there's lots of different pillars around how we look at that. But one of the things we do is we don't require our clients when they come on board to sign any contracts. We get paid at the end of the work that we do, and only if they feel like it was valuable. So we're the ones who take all the financial risk going into a new relationship. And when we go on this journey with a client, we make it very easy for them to start, but we also make it very easy for them to fire us because they don't have a contract to get out of. So literally, if I'm working with somebody and they call me today and say that they don't feel like they're getting enough value anymore, we stop charging them, we wish them well, and we end the engagement. So what has been a really wonderful outcome is I now have clients that I am in my 9th and 10th year with of consecutive work, and they only stay because they're continuing to get value. I'm continuing to evolve and grow with them. Our partners and guides are having similar experiences. And we define, in Good to Great, Jim Collins talks about the BHAG, the big, hairy, audacious goal. Is kind of like that, 5, 10, 20 year, like what's the big thing you're going to accomplish? Well, we call that the summit. So we use this analogy that growing a business is like climbing a mountain. So we call it the summit. We have 2 walls in we've got a hallway in our offices where we have all the logos of the companies we worked with. There's almost 150 logos now on this wall. We've got another wall that we move logos to that's called our Summit Society. So any company that we work with, when they reach that first summit, we move them to this Summit Society wall. We've now got 19 companies on that wall that we have actually helped hit that first summit. And when they go back and think about when we first started working together and they set this big dream of what they wanted to accomplish, they're like, I really didn't think we were going to be able to do it. We got there faster, whatever the case may be. So that really for us is a metric we look at, is the success rate. And we have a quarterly pulse where we're meeting quarterly with our clients. And a lot of our success metrics are based on their actual metrics. We do surveys. We do a simple net promoter score. So if you're familiar with the net promoter score, negative 100 to a positive 100, right? So if you use their calculus, it can be anywhere from negative 100 to a positive 100. Our net promoter score right now is an 81.
Nice.
Tesla is in the 70s. Netflix is in the 70s, I believe. So, anything 60 or higher is considered elite. And that's something that's also part of our flywheel, part of our business model, because most of our clients come to us through referral.
Yes.
And that's another, I think, big success metric. If you're creating raving fans who are now the ones who are providing you with new business, that's about as perfect as you can create it.
Well, I think what I'm getting out of this is, first of all, you have skin in the game. You're not just talking about performance and improvement and next level growth. Is like, no, I'm going to put my time, because it's your time and your resources into this, and prove to you that we're going to achieve this milestone together. And I will only take compensation as you achieve that goal. First of all, it's about, that's a invest in a person like Michael Erath. I know it's Erath. My mind wants to say Earth, but I know it's Erath. But like I said, don't come to me with, yeah, maybe this is something I want to do. Like, no, you gotta want to know what you want to do. Then I'll take you to that North Star. We're gonna get there together, and we're gonna both enjoy, the values that come from that. I think that's wonderful. We're coming to the end of our session, our podcast. And I want you to first of all, let us know about your book, how to get the book, right? How to contact you. But before you give us that, I always ask this because it's important to me for my net performer score. Now you've come to the end of this podcast, and you spent a good 30 or 40 minutes, on the Follow Brand podcast. How was your experience?
I would like to do it again. I will start with that. So that's a 10. Now this was great. The pre-conversation we had was wonderful. You're a great host and interviewer. You made it fun, great questions, and it was a wonderful experience.
Love it, love it, love it. So now you got to tell us how to get your book, because I want to get a copy of that book.
Yeah, absolutely. So the book's available on Amazon and Audible, Five Obsessions of Elite Organizations. I've also got a website, fiveobsessions.com. So people who've read the book can download resources there as well. And you can also link to the book through that website. One of the things I did was I've created an AI clone of myself that's been trained on all of the different things that we teach, everything I've ever, in fact, even this podcast will be transcribed and the clone will be trained on it. But the idea with the clone was if a company is either too small to afford one of us as a partner, but wants to implement the tools and the concepts that are part of our approach, and they want some additional guidance beyond just reading the book and figuring it out for themselves, it's a very inexpensive subscription to the clone. They can get additional resources and guidance and insights from that. So the clone can be accessed through the website askmichaelerath.com. That's also in the book. It's mentioned several times. And then lastly, our website, nextlevelgrowth.com. That's where you can meet the team, get a better deep dive into what we do, or on our YouTube channel. We've got a lot of content there as well.
Man, I want to send a special thanks to the Erath family, because this has been wonderful. Just talking to you, hearing your story, understanding what you are about. I believe in what you're doing, and I know that anyone that takes the time to invest their resources into working with you will get tenfold back, because you've done the research. You understand what it takes to achieve a goal. And I don't think you're the kind of person like that will say, look, if you're ready or you're not ready, you would be very truthful in telling them this is what you need to do to get there. And until you attain these skill sets, you're not going to be able to get to that level. And I think it's important to have authentic conversations with people and understand where they're at, and they'll appreciate you more. And then they'll come back to you, just like you just said, you're going to come back on my show. This is going to be wonderful, because I'm going to get your book and I'm going to take a look at that, and we'll see if we're going to scale our business to the point that we want to get to. So this has been wonderful. I want to encourage your entire audience to tune into all the episodes of Follow the Brand. That's at the number 5. That's number 5. That's 5-star BDM, B for brand, D for development, Informasters.com. I want to thank you again for being on the show, Michael.
Thank you, Grant. Had a wonderful time.
You're welcome.
Man, who's your favorite podcaster? Man, Grant, man. I love Grant's podcast. Well, who's Grant? I'm going to send you the link. I love Grant.
I love the interview. I've done a lot of these, and this is a great one. It's always great to talk to people who know what they're doing, and it's clear you're a great host, and you've done this many times before.
I feel great that we're having this conversation here. Met a new person in business who I previously didn't know.
It was an amazing podcast. Grant is an amazing interviewer. I learned a lot.
Really enjoyed this. Great questions, great talk track. Super appreciate you having me on. It's been a very fun episode to talk about a lot of things that I don't always get to dive into. So this has been a fantastic conversation.
I wouldn't be where I am here today, of course, not on this stage. However, not in my current business projection and my current business model without working with you.
What if leadership wasn't about titles, but trials? What if your breakthrough lay beyond fear? In First Light, the brave path to authentic leadership, embark on a journey of courage, truth, and purpose. Face the wolf. Hear first thunder. Wield the sword and shield. This is more than a book. It's a calling. Are you ready for First Light? In today's fast-paced financial landscape, access to capital is the key to success. At the heart of this revolution is Case Capital Markets, powered by SETI Case. Here, innovation and investment converge, creating a dynamic environment where businesses can thrive and reach new heights. Introducing Grant McGaugh, the Senior Advisor at Case Capital Markets. Grant is a visionary leader, dedicated to connecting businesses with institutional capital and strategic funding. His expertise opens doors to game-changing investment opportunities, making him an invaluable partner for companies looking to scale and succeed in the competitive world of finance. With an impressive 25 years in technology, 9 years in healthcare, and 6 years in investment banking, Grant McGaugh has a proven track record. He has successfully closed over $500 million in high-value transactions, seamlessly bridging technology, healthcare, and infrastructure with innovative financial solutions. His experience is a testament to his ability to drive success. Case Capital Markets offers businesses direct access to over 32,000 venture capital firms, private equity funds, family offices, and institutional investors. This network empowers mid-market companies with under $100 million in revenue to scale beyond their limits, unlocking unprecedented growth potential. Debt, equity, growth capital, public offerings. These are the building blocks of the future of capital access. Whether you're scaling a business, seeking investment, or exploring market expansion, Grant McGaugh is your trusted partner. Together, you can unlock capital and create long-term financial success. The future belongs to those who take action. Are you ready to elevate your business? In today's world, where every voice competes for attention, true influence stands out. One visionary has redefined the landscape of brand building. His name is Grant McGaugh, and his innovative approach is setting new standards in the industry. Recognized among the top 30 global gurus in branding for 2025, Grant McGaugh is a name synonymous with transformative brand leadership. His work is not just about creating brands, it's about crafting legacies. Through his visionary strategies, he is helping leaders across the globe redefine their impact and influence. At the heart of Grant's success is the revolutionary BRAVE framework. BRAVE stands for branding, resilience, authenticity, vision, and excellence. Each element is meticulously crafted to guide leaders in building brands that are not only successful, but also meaningful. Branding sets the foundation, resilience ensures longevity, authenticity builds trust, vision drives innovation, and excellence guarantees quality. This framework is where data meets storytelling and strategy meets authenticity. From healthcare to technology, Grant's methodology is reshaping how industries approach branding. His strategies are not confined to a single sector. They are universal, adaptable, and effective. By integrating the BRAVE framework, organizations are experiencing a transformation in how they connect with their audiences, ensuring their message resonates and endures. Grant McGaugh's influence extends beyond frameworks. Through his best-selling books and the acclaimed Follow the Brand podcast, he shares insights and strategies that empower leaders to elevate their brand presence. These resources are a testament to his commitment to shaping the future of branding. Grant McGaugh is not just influencing the present, he is shaping the future of brand influence. His work is a beacon for those seeking to lead with purpose and impact. By embracing his methodologies, leaders are equipped to navigate the complexities of modern branding with confidence and clarity. Discover the BRAVE approach to brand leadership and unlock the potential of your brand. At 5-Star BDM, where vision meets results, Grant McGaugh invites you to embark on a journey of transformation. Experience the power of strategic branding and redefine your impact in the world.
Hey everyone, it's Grant McGaugh, CEO of 5-Star BDM and host of the award-winning Follow the Brand podcast and TV series, where I help you to build a 5-star brand that people will follow. My genius is personal brand development through intelligent communication and helping you achieve your business and career goals. I am a requested speaker on digital technology and brand development issues. I want to work with you to increase the value of your current opportunities while attracting new ones. Every one of you is unique, and we all share challenges that can be addressed through smart branding. As a super connector, I work with you as an executive coach to guide you along the complicated business and career development road, providing the enhancement tools and information you need to succeed. Together, I will help you succeed in today's challenging business climate. I will evaluate, and measure your progress. Best of all, I am right alongside you every step of the way. Build the brand called you. Genius is coming. Tune in for our next show or click on our website at www.5starbdm/followthebrandtv. Thank you.